Hey y'all, welcome back to the Briles Bunch. I'm Courtney if you're new here. Today's video is going to be a fun one. We had a lot of breakfast meal prepping going on, so that's what I'm sharing with y'all. I don't know about you, but me and my family, we really struggle when it comes to breakfast time. We're not morning people, so I don't like to take a lot of time to be cooking in the mornings, but I love breakfast food. So I thought it would be fun to just make a bunch up ahead of time. Several of these will be for the freezer and then just a couple for the refrigerator just to have throughout the week. So hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get on into cooking. First up, we're going to be making some Cheerio cereal bars, and this is a little more of a kid-friendly one, but honestly, I loved them too, and the kids still loved them. So I've got 3 cups of Cheerios, 3/4 a cup of peanut butter, and then 1/2 a cup of honey spilling out everywhere. And then for me, I have this silicone Pampered Chef bar pan that I like to use, but if you don't have one of those, then an 8x8 pan will work just fine with some parchment paper or just spray it really good. So the first thing you do is heat up on medium heat the peanut butter and honey until it gets really smooth, about this consistency where it's just able to pour pretty easy. And then you'll take it off of the heat and mix it together with the Cheerios, and that's it. And then stick them in your pan, or like mine, I've got the Pampered Chef one. I did spray mine to make sure that they would come out pretty easy. And then you just want to stick them in the refrigerator for at least an hour before cutting. Y'all, these are so good. We had these gone in just a few days. I love this pan for many things, but this one was actually a little messy. You'll probably get less messy using an actual 8x8 pan and just dumping it all in there and spreading it out with a spatula pretty good, because I had to, get it all in there and push down in every single one of these slots. But I do love that I don't have to cut it at the end, and it's easy to use. So since I was using that bar making pan, it did leave a little bit of leftovers, but no big deal. Me and the boys ate that right up, and they loved it that way too, me included. But here's how they turned out of the refrigerator. I love how well these set up and they don't break apart. And seriously, the kids and me love these for an easy breakfast, or even a snack really. After I got them all out, I put them in an airlock container and just stored them in the refrigerator. But like I said, they didn't last very long because we had them eaten in just a few days. For the next breakfast that we're going to make, it's going to be some sausage and cream cheese biscuit bites. So for that, I had some sausage, an 8-ounce block of cream cheese, 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. We had 1 can of biscuits, but I'll explain that in a minute. I used the wrong kind. And then also 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. So the first thing I did was preheat the oven to 375 and then spray my muffin pan. I did spray a mini muffin pan, but then I also ended up using a bigger one as well. And then we want to cook our sausage until that is good and cooked, and then drain it. So here I am draining the sausage, and I got this tip from Tamara at Southern Wife Everyday Life. She used a bowl and put some aluminum foil on top of it and put the strainer like that, so you don't have to struggle trying to figure out how to drain your meat instead of doing it in the sink, But then after it is cooked, I put it back in the pan over the heat and mixed all the other ingredients together until they were really good and combined. For the biscuits, I was actually supposed to use 2 12-ounce cans of the junior flaky layer biscuits, but I couldn't find any, so I messed that up and used the regular kind. I just thought I could cut them into smaller pieces, but even cutting them into fourths, they were still too big. So I kind of worked with it a little bit, but they were still really big, and I had to break pieces off as I went. I did end up using a bigger muffin pan as well, because the little one was just getting on my nerves, and I didn't think any of it was going to fit. Also, if you make these, I would suggest pressing them down into the cups more. That's another thing that I kind of boo-booed on. When they were done, all of the cream cheese mixture was just sitting on top because I didn't have them stuck in the muffin tin, if that makes sense as well. So if you make these, and if I make them again, which I want to because they're really good, that's how I'll do it. I put these in the oven on 375 and baked them for 12 to 15 minutes. And of course the smaller ones got done first because they're a smaller pan. And here is how they turned out. Like I said, all of it's kind of sitting on top. Like it was still in it a little bit, but the majority of the sausage mixture was just sitting on the top, but they were still really yummy. And so I just stuck these in a Ziploc freezer bag, and that way we can just pull out a couple as we want for breakfast. This next one is so good, I don't even know if you could consider it breakfast. It's that yummy. But we're going to make some oatmeal jam bars. So for this, I had 1 cup of oats, and then we had 10 tablespoons of butter, 3/4 a teaspoon of baking soda. Then we had some strawberry jam. I just kind of used as much as I felt like I needed. And then for the brown sugar, we had 1/2 cup of that, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. To make these easier to get out when they're done, I lined an 8x8 dish with some parchment paper and sprayed it really good. I did end up cutting some of the sides off of that because it was just a lot. But then in a bowl, I mixed together the 1 cup of oats and 1 cup of flour with the salt and baking soda. Mixed that together pretty good. And then in a larger bowl, I whisked together the butter, brown sugar, and vanilla, and the butter is melted, by the way. So I mixed all of that together pretty good, and then added back in the dry ingredients and stirred it together until they were combined. After I got that combined, I took out about 3/4 a cup of that and set it over to the side for the crumble that'll go on top later, and then took the rest of it and stuck it in my 8x8 pan and pushed it down, spreading it out until it's like a thin layer, and then stuck it in the oven and baked it for 10 minutes. After it baked for 10 minutes, I took the jam and spread out an even layer all across that bottom layer, and then took the crumble that I had set to the side and sprinkled it all over the top. You want to cook that for about 14 to 16 minutes or until it gets like that nice golden brown on top. This is how mine looked coming out, and I set it to cool on a cooling rack until it was nice and cooled all the way through. Then I took it out, cut it into little squares, and stuck it into a container. At first it'll be a little crumbly, but then once you get it in the fridge and chill it, they form really well. None of mine actually fell apart though, so even when they were still a little bit warm, they were still nice and stuck together. Breakfast was kind of me just throwing some things together into a muffin pan, and it turned out really good. So Hashbrown Egg Cups, I used these refrigerated shredded hash browns instead of frozen ones, and then I used 6 eggs, some sharp cheddar cheese. I had some bell peppers already cut up, so a little bit of red and green bell pepper, and then some real bacon pieces because I didn't feel like cooking any. And then also I like to mix some butter and milk with my eggs too. So the first thing I did was crack all the eggs and mix it with a little bit of milk because that's how I like mine. Whisk those all together really good. And then I started adding in the other ingredients. So I added the hash browns with that, the butter, pretty much everything just all in one bowl, so it's super easy. And then for seasonings, I did some salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Mix everything together, and then I actually used 2 different kinds of muffin pans. I used the regular size and then the mini ones, and I have to say I actually preferred the mini ones better. They just held up better, and because the bigger ones, they kind of fell apart when they were done just a little bit around the sides, like the sides were wanting to stick, even though I sprayed the pan really good. You can see that very well there. But I cooked these on 400 for about 10 to 15 minutes. You just want to keep an eye on them pretty much. And I think these little ones came out perfect. They had some good flavor. Next time I might add a little bit more garlic powder just because I like that flavor in it. But these were really good. These were one of the freezer meals that we stuck in a Ziploc bag. And then that way we can just pull out however many we want when we want them. Travis actually had some for breakfast this morning. They're really, really good. The next breakfast idea is another kid-friendly one, and it's so super simple. It doesn't get any easier than this. My kids love Fruity Pebbles and Greek yogurt. I put the two together and we got something new. So I use this strawberry Greek yogurt and then some Fruity Pebbles. I also use my bar pan maker again, the Pampered Chef one. I don't sell Pampered Chef. I just love their products. Maybe I should. I don't know. Probably not. You could also use an 8x8 pan again, or just like a 9x13. Guess it just depends on how much you want to make. But I just mixed together the Greek yogurt because, you know, this one's kind of separated a little bit, and then poured it into my pan and sprinkled the Fruity Pebbles on top. And y'all, that's it. Stick it in the freezer for at least 4 hours usually. But y'all, it doesn't get any easier than that, and they're very good. The kids actually enjoyed them. Here's how they looked after I got them out of the freezer. I could have just left them in here like this and kept them with the lid on in there and just grabbed one anytime we wanted one, but instead I stuck them in a container and kept them in a container anyway. But the kids love these. If you have kids, this would be a fun one. For this last breakfast, we did some good old breakfast burritos. Let me know in the comments down below if you have breakfast burritos and what your favorite way is to make them, because these are so good. But for this, we used some tortillas and then some hash browns with the onions and peppers, the frozen kind that you get in the frozen section. I used 10 eggs, some salsa, and Fiesta blend cheese. And instead of cooking bacon, I just used this microwave bacon because it's easier, and by the end of the day, I was tired. So this is what I used, or you could have used some bacon bits. I had some of those, and I should have probably used them because it wasn't quite enough. But this is everything I used for our burritos. Burritos are so simple to make. I just mixed up all the eggs, and then we cooked the peppers and hash browns on the stove for a little bit until they were done, and then used the same pan for the eggs. I did the potatoes first just because they take a little bit longer to cook, and then after everything was together, you just assemble your burritos in the order that you want. So for me, I did the salsa, potatoes, eggs, a little bit of bacon, and then the cheese on top, but wrapped it up. And I wrapped these in parchment paper and stuck them in a Ziploc bag so that when we take them out, it's easy to cook in the microwave. These definitely are a family favorite. I've also made them with sausage crumbles in place of bacon, but we all love them, and they're super simple to reheat and eat, and they're definitely very filling because of everything that's in them. So that's definitely a family favorite. I would love to know some of your all's favorite breakfast meals as well, but that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that maybe it provided you with some new easy breakfast to make for you and your family. I hope y'all have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye y'all.